Hey y'all, welcome back to the Hack Shack. So the other day I was walking the dog at lunch and happened upon a garage sale that was kind of getting put together early. I could have sworn I saw a 3D printer, so I kind of turned around, took a stop and looked, and it was actually a 3D printer there. So I came back later after work, paid the lady, and brought this Ender 3 Pro home with me. The lady said it was never used. I have my doubts about that, but I remember from my old original A8 that it had essentially like an odometer, and I tried to look for something similar to that on this one and messed around for a while but couldn't find that, and did a little reading and realized that that really wasn't something that any of my newer firmwares did either. For whatever reason, the adjustment knob on this one corner was loose when I got it, so I just stuck that back on there. I noticed something odd about this print surface, and it turned out it was a duplicate, like a new one that wasn't even used yet. And then I realized why the person had a new one. Look at this huge groove in the other print surface there. So maybe this thing wasn't used, but it was used at least once, I guess. Maybe not for very long. Maybe someone tried it and did that and gave up. Maybe they got the other print surface and the other filament thinking they were going to print some more, but maybe they just gave up on it, I guess. But that's pretty nasty. I lifted it up to see what the padded portion under there, and it wasn't so bad. So what I did was just separated the magnetic, the portion from the new one, and just put this new surface down on the existing, because that surface was okay and a small issue under there wouldn't bother trying to print on this one, I didn't think. So the next thing I noticed was that this cable was disconnected. I thought maybe that had been the problem, like maybe the X and Y or Z got mixed up, but no, it was the right one. All I had to do was plug it in and that was fine. So I leveled up the bed and found something on the SD card that came with this to print out. I think it was called Pig or something. And after a while you could see what happened. I did not have very good luck with that. So I leveled up the bed again and went even tighter than the first time to get that closer, because I figured that was what was wrong the first time and didn't get good adhesion. And I grabbed a Benchy from Things and set that up and gave that a go. Now this started printing out fine. Now look right here, that line that you see, that's a weak point, and that's my fault. The filament got kind of in a bind and was not extruding right there. So that's not the fault of the printer, that's my fault, which led to that right there, which I was about to stop, but it kind of kept printing, so I let it finish printing. And, I think besides my problem, this looks okay for the amount of time I spent messing around with it. And the stuff that's, ignore that mistake that I made there. The next thing I saw was this looked like the bed was rubbing on the power supply area there. And I thought at first I would loosen up these power supply bolts and see if that was just tightened up weirdly, but those seem to be squarely connected, and that not the problem. So I looked around, and then I noticed that this looked a little twisted. See how that's kind of proud there, but that one's not? So I loosened up these two on the bottom and twisted that bar ever so slightly to try to straighten it up and tighten these down. And now I've got clearance. It's still not perfect, which makes me want to go around this whole thing with a square and make sure all these right angles are right. But all in all, I'm pretty pleased with this. And maybe it really wasn't used. I noticed that filament there. I think that loose filament is maybe like the original sample filament that comes with it. So maybe it really wasn't used that much. And that other filament that I thought was going to be a bonus, even though it's been opened and exposed all this time, is actually 3mm. So couldn't have used that anyway. I'm pretty happy with the purchase. I'm not sure exactly what I'll end up doing with this, but I'll figure out something or find someone who could use it. Anxious to hear if anybody has any tips for mods for this particular printer. Definitely would be game to entertain anything to do with that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.